Nice. All right, guys, we're back. Episode 2. Hopefully, we got some people that are now subscribing to 3 Gym Guys, and I've got 3 Gym Guys on the show, man. Spencer, could you introduce yourself for us real quick?
I'm Spencer Nix. I live in Dallas, Texas. I run a gym called CFTC. We've been in business for 12 years. I've been in strength and conditioning for, I guess you could say, 15 or 16 years.
Jeremy needs no introduction, but we'll ask him to do it anyway. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, my name is Jeremy Till, Austin, Texas, CrossFit Central. Co-founded that with my sister, Carrie Kepler. Been in the game for a long time and seen the evolution. I've seen the growth, the expansion from, 5 CrossFit affiliates to 14,000. I've been to every CrossFit Games, so I'm going to be messaging Dave Castro today, tomorrow, to ask him if I can come to Aromas and be his support dog. And
yeah.
So I've never missed the CrossFit Games since the inception. And so I was like, man, I'm just going to hit Dave with a text and say, hey, buddy, I'll fly myself out there. I'll do whatever. I don't want a payment. I'll volunteer to put the chalk in the buckets.
This is totally off topic, but we have a coach that competed in one of the sanctionals in Australia. And he sent me a message late at night. He's like, hey, I think I might go to the games. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, well, with travel restrictions, I'm the highest ranked person that doesn't live out of the country. And so if those guys can't get into America, which is a possibility, then he gets to go to the game. So maybe I'll see you there. Maybe I'll be.
He gets to compete?
Yeah.
Wow. Legit, man. Well, hey, and then I'm Charlie Lima down here in College Station.
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a quick intro. I've been running BoomFit since 2005 and really just excited to continue to share with you guys who are listening or watching what we've learned. Collectively, we have 40 years of ownership, leadership, and running a gym. We've seen this industry shift, right? So I started as a private trainer in 2003 down here while I was at Texas A&M. Never heard of CrossFit. Jeremy entered the space in 2005 in the CrossFit. And you actually went, I think Glassman was did he lead your level 1, Jeremy?
Absolutely, yeah.
In Colorado, right?
Yes, sir. Colorado.
Yeah, man. So the early days, and then Spencer invited me to my level 1 in 2008. And so, I saw the market completely change as you guys did. And, and then Orange Theory didn't exist 12 years ago when I started CrossFit. Back then, you guys remember boot camps were big. Jeremy, you ran boot camps all over Austin. And, we've just seen the industry change so much. And I feel like right now we're just entering into a new, we'll call it a new era of gym ownership. And so for us, being 3 people who are very passionate about leadership, very passionate about business and coaching, we want to just share with you guys some things that we learned. So we're going to talk today specifically about how the 3 of us can do the same thing, but do it differently. And really kind of, making it hopefully personal to you as you're watching this, on asking some good questions on how are you running your gym, and is it unique to you, or are you just kind of copying what you see everywhere you look at? So let's start with Jeremy, kind of expand on that topic, specifically how it might relate to our group in Austin for you.
For sure. And so I think about, following your gut and what is your true north and what stands for you. And in this time, as things have changed dramatically, and, the definition of CrossFit and services that we provide, and all the different gurus out there offering up what they know and what's best, and it becomes overwhelming. And it goes down back to the basics of who am I and what do I want to do at the end of the day, and how do I want to serve my community and lead them, and then discern what's going to be best for you. And for me, in this period of time, my natural instinct is to set the new tracks, make decisions, execute it, and move on. And I've been very much on the throttle and off the throttle, observing, taking in information, making decisions, and then waiting and seeing. And it's like I've been looking for an answer for something for about 2 weeks, and today visiting with Charlie, I believe I got the answer versus making a too soon decision. And so that has been 15 years of processing. And I'm not saying that I won't make new decisions moving forward, but I understand that we're an evolving marketplace, and I need to be 3 words. And I'm going to elaborate on this more in our private Facebook group. Agility, endurance, or agility, flexibility, and endurance in this time. And so how I'm setting.
You mentioned the private Facebook group. And so I want to share that right now for people that watch this. We have a private Facebook group set up. It's called 3 Gym Guys. You can search it. We'll put some links up. And if you guys want more content, more information from us, then guys can go and add yourself to that group. We'll approve you. And that way we can continue to channel some more messaging. So that's what he's talking about. And then one thing you said, Jeremy, is you use that word true north. And I think I have the book behind me. But can I think there's a lot of time, like I didn't read my first book until I was like 27 years old, right? So I tell people I graduated from Texas A&M, but I don't feel like I ever read a book. And so
that's amazing.
I think there's a lot of people that don't read, right? So they aren't, and they maybe do every now and then, but they just don't become students of their craft, right? So talk about that, the true north, and where you pulled that from and what that means.
Yeah, I think from the different leadership books from John C. Maxwell and a lot of books I've read over the past, it's just, I think Andy Andrews as well. We're going through an Andy Andrews. Who wrote that book? Bill George. I haven't actually read that. Okay. But I mean, True North is a real, compass inside of ourselves. And so what I've dove into for myself and done a deep research on intuition and how you actually listen to your inner voice. And from a faith standpoint, that's a whole other conversation, but hearing our inner voice guiding us and hearing our gut, listening to our hearts and leading with our minds in what is being spoken. So I have techniques that I can elaborate on in the future about how to hear that inner voice and to listen. But your true north is really the guidepost of where you're meant to go and what your direction is. And that comes down to your core principles and values. So that's another thing that I work with Jim Hensel with Mayhem Mindset on. And then there's also your business core values and vision and structure. So that's there's 2 proponents. There's you as a person, and then there's your business, which are 2 different entities that merge into one and creates the culture and environment in your gym. Then you decide on how you put in the framework for your business to operate and function. So I know Charlie's really big on those, systems of structuring your vision, your mission, your purpose, and then the frameworks that come out of that. And so when you have those written down and defined, then you know how you're making decisions and you're moving forward versus like you don't know and you're shifting sand underneath your feet every single day that you wake up when you get hit with the next cancellation or the next big idea or the other thing that comes through your Facebook feed. I've been there before, and that is so it is mind-boggling, anxiety-ridden, and I needed to move out of that. And through Mayhem Mindset, I was able to find my 9 core values that were my guideposts for who I am and what it takes for me to be successful as an individual, then create structures around my business to have its true north, and then the culture. And I'm really big on 3 words in the sense of structuring around 3 words. So for me, again, in this time, agility, flexibility, and endurance, I'm focused on that right now, going the long haul, making this happen, right? And so whenever I think about structures and how I'm putting things together in 3s and how I'm creating culture, because right now I have an avatar for the client base that we want. We want resilient, fearless, and hungry people at our gym. So I'm putting that out there, an avatar of that personality. I don't care what fitness level you are, but I want resilient, fearless, and hungry people coming to our gym to get the fitness that we're going to provide for them. So that's what I'm deciding. And now the X's and O's, the on the field membership services, providing service, that's where we get in the trenches and do the work. And right now, restructuring our price market and how we're going to sell services for our new customers, that's something that I just had made a decision from an idea that Charlie shared with what he's going to be doing with his business. So that's kind of
I think, you know, what you touched on, if I'm completely honest, is the thing that really makes your gym different from the other gym down the street. Because, you know, so many people, you know, if you ask a gym owner, like, you know, tell me about your gym and what makes it different. Like, it's not your bathrooms. I mean, they might be nice. It's not your fancy equipment. I mean, you're going to get, if you're in a CrossFit setting, you're going to get constantly very functional movement at high intensity at any CrossFit gym. The thing that makes your gym different is your core values, your mission, your focus, what it is that you're living by, what is your code, as you used to call it, Jeremy. And then as the leader of the organization, that has to actually overflow into every person who makes any type of communication with members or staff. And then what makes your gym different is like, man, that gym is about fill in the blank, resilience, whatever, you know, whatever you just said. Like, oh man, that gym is about, yeah.
These are the building blocks of culture. So a lot of the buzzword is like culture, culture, culture. But this is the how-tos. I know you described it like that, the how-tos to culture.
Yeah.
So if you have it, but you are also about, it has to be from inside of me. I have to live it. That's the code that I'm living. I write it down, and then we live that and create that culture through our core values and our principles by living it, and then it exuberating, emulting out of us into the environment, and then attraction elevated.
So Spencer, other than long hair and facial hair, what would you say that? Oh, and glasses. What would be, if you want to call it culture, or how does this, you know, topic for you give you something you can share on it?
I agree with what you guys are saying, that we're basically the ones that dictate what the culture should be like. What I've been thinking lately is just that it's such a great opportunity to really evaluate how you want to change. And I'll explain that before such a catastrophic event like the pandemic, in order to make any type of change, you would need a lot of acceptance for that to happen. Because if you were going to do something monumental, you would really want to get people on board with that. And so you would need to do exactly what we're talking about. Hey, this is what's important to me. Let me communicate that to you, who are my staff and the members of the gym, and let's make sure that we do this together. I think now, because so much has changed, it's almost implied that there needs to be a transformation of the business. And I think that you can communicate that to your staff, and you can communicate that to the consumer a lot easier than you ever could. And you can justify that because of the stuff that's like obviously just been really tumultuous lately, right? The stuff that's just been really hard. So it's at least been my experience that I think members expect that we're going to change some things, and there's obvious reason for that. So the gym experience that people have had since we've reopened has been considerably different, but I think deep down, I was really nervous that people would have a lot of complaints about that because it is so different. And I've been pleasantly surprised to see that they're expecting things to change, to transform. And I agree with what Jeremy and you're saying, Charlie. that as long as you know the reason for that, then you can do it with great confidence. And I think the consumer is a lot more responsive.
This is a great opportunity, I think, for anybody watching, listening. Jeremy and I we've been talking with you for a while now, so we kind of know in what ways it's different. This speaks directly to, like, the different comes from inside of you, right? It comes from a belief system, right? A core principle, value, vision that you as the leader of your organization feel is best for your members, right? And so what can you say has been, when you want to say shifted, changed, how can you kind of share that with anybody who's listening, who's maybe owning a gym and sitting there thinking like, man, I kind of feel like I want to change some stuff too, but I don't even know how to do it or what to change?
Well, I think we're not handcuffed to anything. So as long as you can sit back and almost look at it and pretend that you're the customer and to think, what is the itch that I want to scratch? I'm 37. I got 3 kids. What's really important to me is different than what was important to me 12 years ago when I was 25 and single. And let me explain. I think most consumers have no idea. They have no concept of how to, like, create a new product. As far as their brain goes is, how can I get more for less money? That's as far as it goes. So when you step back and you have to reevaluate, like, man, do I really want to do this? For example, does a 60-minute class really make sense? Does it really make sense for us to have 4 different tracks? I don't know if there's a right answer to that, but I think now is a great opportunity to be asking some of those questions. And it starts with exactly what Jeremy's talking about, but then the actions and the results come from, like, understanding, like, where that core is. Like, hey, I want to be about this. Okay, well, what does that mean to actually play that out? So intangible, like real English, I really want to take care of people this way. I really want to make sure that there's flexibility with how they train. Okay, does running 12 classes and that's the only time they can come to the gym really make sense? Probably not. Okay, let me go back to what's really important to me. I want people to have flexibility to do this. Okay, what actually does make sense for that? And then the actual procedures and stuff that you experiment with, I think consumers are going to be really forgiving because they understand where it's coming from. I think where there's not great response is where you just hit them with the actual implementation and they don't understand, you haven't communicated, like, why it is that you're doing these things. So I think if you can start there and maybe couple core values and the reasons behind doing things and just communicate that, it's been my experience that people are looking for a leader to explain things to them, and they'll get on board if you can come up with a compelling argument with why it should be that way. And I've been really pleased to experiment with that and just have carte blanche to change and reorganize things as much as I see fit.
So I will add to that. I think the key right now, as we start putting things out, any gym owner that is watching, listening to what we share, you have to be anchored in something, and you very likely are, and you have to actually understand what you're anchored in, because you're going to hear some things that Spencer's doing, Jeremy's doing, that I'm doing, that for you just to do them just because they sound like a good idea, or, you know, in the moment you're like, oh, that might be cool at my gym, let me implement that. It's not going to work for you, because it has to be anchored in who you are. And before you can be anchored in who you are, you have to identify, which is kind of the process you just talked about, Jeremy, that you went through with Gym Mayhem Mindset. And I think specifically how this relates to a gym is, like, just knowing what is your core purpose, what is your core mission, what are your core values, and everything rooting from that, because it answers a lot of questions for you as to whether I should switch my business model to this. Well, does that fit in the type of gym vision that you have, and or the type of, you know, principles that you live by, and or the, you know, what do you want your gym to look like in 5 years, 10 years? And making that decision now, is that going to take you in that direction or not? And so it's like, sometimes you know, you want to just switch from plan to this to that to, you know, we're going to be this gym. And, you know, I see it all the time. You know, we're going to offer a ton of programs. We're going to change our whole thing. But at the end of the day, it might not stick. It might be something that you don't really, because it's not anchored in you. Jeremy, can you speak to that? Can you elaborate maybe in a way that sounds different than I just shared it?
Well, for me, you know, the market, it goes back to when we started, we had the closed class model and it worked phenomenal. And our clients got phenomenal results. And as we barreled into 2011, 2012, unlimited wasn't really a thing until it became the overarching thing, the way that we had to provide a service and sell it. And I would say we lost about 30 to 40% of our margin when we had to move from a closed class model. And I could go into elaborate what the closed class model for unlimited, but that's not the point. Is that the market pulled me into, and I felt like I had to change due to the demand of the market that really disrupted my business. And I lost a lot of profit because of it. Instead of me really moving, what I felt that I would have had to done is really have my standalone brand and to continue to offer the unique service that I provided. But I didn't have the internal strength to pivot and have my own brand like BoomFit to continue to market a unique service like the closed class model, 3 sessions a week, a coach, a specific time, and you're going to get hands-on. We went to unlimited, a la carte. The clients didn't come to a specific time. They got lackadaisical on the nutrition, and it became this free-for-all. And our attrition grew, and our tightness at our box shrank. And there was about a 4-year period from 2012, 2016, 17, that we just didn't even value our service to the level that we should have because we were awash in the sea of generality. Mm-hmm. And so now as I realized that, what even came back with working with Jim was that I was not being which is detailed, organized, and planned well enough to put a new track on how I want to provide service again. And so as I went through his curriculum over an 8-week period, it anchored me back in understanding what organizational excellence looks like and how moving into the next decade that I want to provide a unique service that the tides of a marketplace like CrossFit and what the general population is doing, when people come to get service with me, they're going to get a unique experience connected to my business and my brand that you can get nowhere else. And I'm anchored into that in a way that the tides outside of me can't dictate what's best for us. And I would tell you, I didn't know who I was well enough to make those decisions 6 years ago. And so now where I am anchored into myself and where my guiding posts are, my principles, allows me to make decisions now on my membership and what we're going to sell moving into the future and have a diversified portfolio so we can be flexible and agile in what we provide and serve and do it with confidence and not fear. And I believe that's what's going to make the next decade that much better. But I'm 38 now. I'm not 28. I'm not 32. Unknowing. That's why mentorship is so important, that we've talked about this. When you grab onto a mentor, their mantle becomes your mantle and they can guide you through the process. And so getting mentorship is so crucial, and that's why I reached out to Jim. That's why I have coaches that help me get to where I want to go.
You know, the word that comes to mind when I'm listening to you is to be assertive, that you have this conversation with yourself and you wrestle like, man, why am I doing this? What's really important to me? Like you said, what are the things that I can't turn my back on? But then I think that when you actually try to apply this, it can often come aggressive, all of us, because deep down, we're really afraid to disappoint our customers because we don't want to change things too much. But the word assertive is really just being self-confident, self-assured, and in control of the direction of your business, because you know that it's based on things that are really good, on things that you know are lasting. And I think this season, the good Lord is calling us to be assertive and to be empathetic to other people's experience and struggle and all the past that we've gone through to get to this point. But to have that conversation with yourself and say, you know what, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to communicate that. I'm going to do it in a way that's respectful to other people. I'm going to do it in a way that it doesn't alienate or offend anybody. But I'm not going to waver from this path that I know is based on the things that are important to me.
I feel like so much of this we're reading right now as a staff, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so much of this is kind of what he calls the first 3, which is kind of working on you. And then the next 3 is working with other people. And, you know, it's having core values, having principles, living by principles and not being swayed. And as you were talking, Jeremy, I really thought a lot about, you know, I started as a private trainer, like a personal trainer. And there's so many CrossFit gyms that struggle to implement personal training into their gym. And I talk to them all the time because they don't know how to do it. And I think it goes back to like my DNA, like is personal training. Like I love it. Like I was a personal trainer before I ever found CrossFit. And so because it's part of who I am, and you have to be, not to say that CrossFit coaches are not relationally wired, but a personal trainer has to be relationally wired to a higher level. And not to say CrossFit coaches do not understand sales, but a personal trainer has to understand sales to survive at a higher level, or else they're going to become a trainer who's frustrated because they don't have any business. And, you know, if you're trying to implement personal training into your CrossFit gym and you keep hitting your head against the wall, it's probably because that's not who you are. It'd be like Orange Theory all of a sudden saying, we want to become a CrossFit gym. And their really only motive for becoming a CrossFit gym would be either to, you know, make more money, bring in more people, like, you know, and that's never going to be the thing that's going to grow your business. It's going to have to come out of something that is inside of you. It's almost, if I'm honest, it's like a conviction. It's like a calling. And when we just have this, oh, I want to do that because I want to have a personal training business because Charlie has a personal training business, or because I want to offer that service to my clients because I think we can make more money. It ain't going to work because you're not wired to be a personal trainer, and therefore you don't know how to lead people who are going to become personal trainers. And it goes the same for CrossFit. Like if you're a CrossFit gym, man, there's a conviction, there's a core value of CrossFit that you believe in the product, the methodology, the culture of it. You know, you might not believe with everything, or else, but you believe in a large part of it, and that's how. But CrossFit has to complement your core convictions and your core values. So I'll use mine as an example, and we'll end kind of on this. But like our mission, vision, purpose is building better people. And so we believe that when you're working out, you're becoming a better version of you. We can do that, and you know, we can work out in a lot of different ways. The ways we choose to help you is through CrossFit and personal training and nutrition. And so, you know, at the end of the day, it's not a CrossFit that defines how we build better people, right? That's not it. And it's not personal training. You know, and one of my coaches said it really great the other day in a staff meeting as we had to transition everybody virtually and do at-home remote training. He said, you know, we're a building better people gym. And dude, it's exactly right. That's the type of gym we are. So any final words on that, Jeremy, Spencer, before we end the recording?
I think that this could be an overwhelming conversation if you have no clue and you're just like, I'm lost at sea. And this is where you have to go and get committed to going deep and going for the long game. And if you're not willing to commit to the long game, I'm talking about the next decade, the 20, the 30, the 40 years, then the wind's going to slap you around and blow you around for the next 2 years like you've never believed it. You have to make an eternal anchor commitment to the long game and doing the work it's going to take to be successful at whatever you do. So whoever's listening to this, for this to fall on you, to understand, if you feel like you're blowing around right now, you need to make a commitment. When I was lacking commitment, my life was a living hell. When I burned the boats, if you will, and said, I'm in it, I'm committed, I'm going to take these steps to do it, higher hell water, that's when the day changes. And there's steps and processes. I have a thing called the Daily Dozen to get you to do that. Again, another day conversation, but the fundamental is commit inside of your being that you will do this no matter what, and your life will change.
Dude, that's Spencer. I don't even know if we can top that, man. That's it. That's it. All right, guys. Go and add yourself to the 3 Gym Guys Facebook group, and then we'll love to continue the conversation there. And we'll talk to you next week.